Here's a motivational story about life teaching, based on real-life experiences. Featuring Puku in Puki. The flight of Puku in Puki. Lessons from the orchard. Perched on the edge of the familiar family nest, high in the old apple tree, were two young sparrows, Puku and Puki. They were siblings, inseparable since hatching, yet as different as the dawn and dusk. Their parents, wise old birds, had taught them the basics: how to find worms, avoid predators, and build a sturdy nest. Now it was time for them to build their own lives, to find their own branches in the vast orchard of the world. Puku was a planner. He listened intently to their parents' warnings about the coming winter, about the importance of storing food, and finding the strongest branches for their nests. He spent his days methodically collecting the plumpest berries and seeds, tucking them away in hollows he had carefully chosen. He practiced flying against the wind, strengthening his wings, and meticulously searched for the thickest twigs to weave into his future home. "Winter is coming, Puki," he'd chirp, his beak full of a juicy worm. "We must prepare." Puki, on the other hand, was an adventurer, a free spirit. He loved the feel of the wind beneath his wings, the thrill of chasing butterflies, and the joy of spontaneous song. He found Puku's constant worrying tedious. "Life is for living now, Puku," he'd call, streaking across the sky in daring loops. "There are so many wonderful things to see and do. The seeds will always be there. The sun will always shine." He'd peck at a few berries, build a flimsy, hurried nest in a lower, more exposed branch, and then zoom off again, convinced that everything would just work itself out. As autumn deepened, the air grew crisp. Puku's nest, high and secure, was a masterpiece of twigs, mud, and soft moss, strong enough to withstand any storm. His secret larders were brimming with enough food to last him through the harshest months. Puki's nest, however, was a sorry sight: sparse, poorly insulated, and exposed. His food stores were meager, mostly forgotten. Then, the first great storm of winter hit. The sky turned a menacing grey, winds howled, and sleet began to lash down. Puku huddled inside his strong nest, warm and well-fed, grateful for every twig he had gathered, every seed he had stored. He worried about his brother. Puki's flimsy nest was no match for the tempest within hours. It was ripped apart, scattering his few meager seeds. He was tossed by the wind, shivering, cold, and utterly alone. His vibrant spirit began to dim under the harsh reality. He sought shelter under a thick bush, but the cold seeped into his bones, and hunger gnawed at his stomach. He was scared, humbled and desperate. Puki eventually found his way to Puku's tree, battered and barely able to fly. "Puku," he chattered, I was wrong. I'm cold and hungry. My nest is gone." Puku didn't gloat. He nudged his brother gently into his warm, spacious nest and shared his precious stores of seeds. "We all make mistakes, Puki," he said softly, "but true wisdom comes from learning from them." That winter, Puki stayed with Puku. He watched his brother carefully manage their food, mend the nest after small squalls, and bravely venture out for quick foraging trips when the weather allowed. Puki saw the quiet strength that came from preparation and resilience. He realized that living in the moment was wonderful, but true freedom also meant being prepared for moments when life wasn't so free. When spring arrived, Puku and Puki flew out together. Puki still loved his aerial acrobatics, but now he also spent time meticulously searching for strong twigs. He built his new nest with care, choosing a high, sheltered spot, and began to diligently store food. Even in abundance, he had learned that joy and security weren't opposing forces. They were interwoven. The lesson: life, much like the changing seasons for Puku and Puki, constantly presents us with choices. Puku represents foresight and diligent effort. The real-life experience of understanding that success, stability, and weathering storms, like financial crises, job losses, or personal setbacks, often come from consistent, sometimes unglamorous, hard work and preparation. Saving money, building skills, fostering strong relationships, and planning for the future might not always feel exciting, but they create a strong foundation. Puki represents spontaneity and living for the present. The real-life experience of embracing joy, adventure, and the beauty of the moment. However, without a foundation, this can lead to vulnerability when unforeseen challenges arise. His journey teaches that sometimes the hardest lessons come from direct experience, reminding us that consequences are real. The story of Puku in Puki reminds us that while it's vital to cherish the present, true wisdom often lies in balancing spontaneous joy with disciplined preparation. Life will throw storms our way. Those who build sturdy nests and store their seeds, be they financial, emotional, or skill-based, are the ones who not only survive but thrive, ready to help others, and truly appreciate the sunshine when it returns. Their journey wasn't about one being right and the other wrong, but about finding a harmonious balance between living fully and preparing wisely for whatever comes next.